Okay. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to the special program. We are very fortunate to have His Grace Kaunteya Prabhu and Her Grace Radha Govind Mataji. Quick introduction about His Grace Kaunteya Prabhu. Kaunteya Prabhu is a material name Dr. Carlo Opecini, and he is in PhD holder in Vedic psychology, Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhava degree holder. He is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. He joined ISKCON in Rome, Italy in May 1980, before I born. Resides in Mayapur. He served in various capacities, including book distributor, Gurukula teacher, meditator, and more. He serves the following. Mediator. Mediator. He serves the following position: co-minister, ISKCON Congregational Development Ministry, co-chairman GBC Organizational Development Committee, trustee and faculty member GBC College for Leadership Development, member GBC Strategic Planning Team, member GBC Nominations Committee, and many more to read. Like, it's a big list. Prabhu authored the following books: Bhakti Vriksha Manual, the Book of Icebreakers, and Super Sunday. Did Srila Prabhupada want women Diksha Gurus? Varnashrama Illuminations, how to mess up Varnashrama by underestimating women and neglecting Gurukula, tough questions, difficult answers on Srila Prabhupada's contentious remarks, Neo Smartas, ISKCON's greatest danger. So many books are there. Prabhu, can we have those books we can see? Okay. Yeah. No. I think Prabhu brought with him so that it can for display. That is the point I'm asking. Yeah. A brief about Her Grace Sri Radha Govind Mataji. Her Grace Sri Radha Govind Mataji is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaja since 2003. She has Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava degree. She lives in Mayapur, where she regularly teaches Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Mataji is Vaishnava Vedic astrologer, personal potential coach through Enneagram, MBTI, Astro, Cartography, Human Design, Palmistry, Vastu, premarital training, etc. Okay. Founder and director, Village of Love NGO Charitable Trust, executive director at Sudarshana Prayog. She travels for lecturing and presenting seminars in English, Kannada, Hindi, Spanish, etc. Mataji authored 7 books: How to Mess Up Your Life with Astrology, Awaken Your Spiritual Destiny, Nakshatra, Awaken Your Hidden Potential, Are You Ready for Saturn, The Wild Side, Inside Going Beyond the Influence of Rahu and Ketu, Get Ready for Married Life for Men, Get Ready for Married Life for Women. With that, we welcome Kaunteya Prabhu and Radha Govind Mataji by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Forgive me for my mispronunciation. Forgive me, Mataji. Forgive me, Prabhu.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. It's supposed to come up automatically, or should I do anything? So today we are going to have the first part of this seminar entitled Why Religious Movements Succeed or Fail. Today we have the first part. The day after tomorrow we have the second part. What is this? This is an analysis of 10 sociological propositions vis-a-vis Srila Prabhupada's instructions. It's based on the work of Professor Rodney Stark. He was a sociologist of religion. He was a giant in his field. He wrote many important books, and he developed 10 propositions of why religious movements succeed or fail. And these are sociological considerations. Doesn't deal with how good is their philosophy or how, let's say, how valid is their scriptures. No. Sociologically speaking, what are the elements that make these groups successful? And we'll consider alongside Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and we will see that Srila Prabhupada say the same things in different wordings. Now, why we do this? This is for leaders to have a sense, a broad sense of what brings success into a community. Those of you who may not yet identify as leaders, they can identify how individually can contribute to the success of the movement. So I hope all of you find something relevant. This is an introduction. I have longer presentations, but this will give, I believe, a sufficient basis for this dialogue. Okay? So of the 10 propositions, we'll analyze 5 today and 5 on Wednesday. Any question before we start? Okay, so lesson 1 or part 1, conservation of cultural capital. In other words, the first proposition is that new religious movements are likely to succeed to the extent they retain cultural continuity with the conventional faiths of the societies in which they seek converts. By new religious movement doesn't mean literally that they are just born, but new religious movement in a particular culture. Say, for instance, ISKCON is based on the Vedic literature, is based on medieval Gaudiya Vaishnavism, so it's very old, but for North America it's relatively new. So in that sense. What does it mean? It means that, in other words, it's easier for people to join a movement they can more easily identify with culturally, emotionally, and psychologically. A movement that possesses aspects for which they already have developed some faith or familiarity. And we have the demonstration of this principle right in this room. I believe most of us, almost totality, 95% of us were born as Hindus. Am I correct? So they already a connection. They grew up knowing about Krishna or Rama. So some of you, maybe most of you, I don't know the statistics, but some of you may have never heard about Lord Chaitanya before ISKCON. Right? Still, the cultural preponderance was that you were familiar. You have heard about Bhagavad Gita, you heard about the stories of Krishna, the story of Ram, right? So for you to join ISKCON was easier than, say, for somebody who grew in an Islamic background, or a Christian background, or Buddhist background. So that's the first idea. It's easy to have success if the message you bring is somewhat connected to the culture in which you are operating. Because we all grow up in a certain culture, and it's like an investment we make by going to those religious functions, by reading those books, and definitely we develop a connection and attachment to those particular aspects. So, for instance, for a Christian, it's easy to, say, join a Christian movement like the Seventh-day Adventists or the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because it's the same Bible, the same gospel, it's the same Jesus. There are some differences, structurally, socially, philosophically, but the majority of the culture is the same. Okay? So, Srila Prabhupada said in Mumbai, so my request especially to the Indians, that do not neglect your culture, the Vedic culture. Vedic culture means Krishna consciousness. Especially to the Indians, because, again, they already have that natural connection. As we say colloquially, it's already in their blood. Okay. At the same time, what I want to stress is that we should not feel discouraged. Oh, we are presenting Krishna consciousness in the Western world, in North America. Most people don't know much about Krishna or Rama or what to speak of Gaur-Nitai and so on. But I want to encourage you because in the last decades, I don't know how much, but certainly also because Srila Prabhupada's work, many of the fundamental ideas of Krishna consciousness are being gradually accepted also in American society. So I want to encourage you, what you're presenting is not something completely alien and foreign. I'll give you some examples. For instance, the Newsweek magazine in 2009 published an article that the U.S. views on God and life are turning Hindu. This lady, Liza Miller, said, recent poll data show that conceptually at least, we are slowly becoming more like Hindus and less like traditional Christians in the ways we think about God, ourselves, each other, and eternity. So this journalist was already noticing a shift. This is the link. The New York Times, same Liza Miller, in 2010 she wrote, Remembrances of Life Past, a quarter of Americans now believe in reincarnation. Women are more likely to believe than men. Democrats more likely than Republicans. Julia Roberts, famous Hollywood stars, recently told Elle magazine that though she was raised Christian, she had become very Hindu. I don't know what that means, but she identifies as Hindu. So there are many connections already existing. The movie Avatar, which is the movie in the history of cinematography made most money. First of all, the name Avatar, Sanskrit, and the whole story is based on the fact that we are not the body. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie, but the whole story is about a person who gets transferred, his self gets transferred to another body so he could operate in a different environment. And nobody had any problem. This was the most watched movie in the history of movies because nobody had any problem with the idea that, yeah, we are not the body, basically. Okay? Last example I want to give is about a car manufacturer. You all heard about Volkswagen. And obviously, Volkswagen is not a spiritual enterprise. They make cars, they sell cars. But because they understand that people are open to these ideas, some years ago, they invested maybe millions of dollars in this particular advertisement of their new car. And that was the line. If you were really good in a past life, you come back as something better. Okay. So, cultural continuity is the first proposition for how a religious movement becomes successful. And I want to stress that we already have a lot of cultural continuity with the host environment. Number two, if prophecy fails, what does it mean? New religious movements are likely to succeed to the extent that their doctrines are non-empirical. What happens sometimes is that some religious movements make a public statement. The world will end in January 1975. Then unfortunately the world doesn't end. So they lose a lot of faith, a lot of power of penetration in that society because people think, well, they're saying something, then it doesn't happen. Of course, they have their own reasons. Say the world doesn't happen, but they say, you see, we have been so good that God did not end the world. It was supposed to happen, but because of our devotion. Now, so religious groups should refrain from predicting the future in the worldly sphere. Because of those prophecies, if those prophecies don't come true, the followers lose faith and the group loses its reputation. Now, in the field of prophecies, we have a lot of prophecies in our tradition. Some are directly from the Bhagavatam, and we have seen that they have been fulfilled. For instance, it is from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Srila Prabhupada writes, Srimad Bhagavatam was composed just prior to the beginning of the age of Kali, about 5,000 years ago. Lord Buddha appeared about 2,600 years ago. Therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Buddha is foretold. There are many such prophecies, and they are being fulfilled one after another. In the 12th canto, for instance, we find different prophecies for the nature of Kali Yuga. O King, Sukadeva Goswami says, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day. We can see how just in maybe 10, 15 years, the memory is diminishing because now people depend on their device. They don't memorize much because everything is everywhere. So, we have other more recent prophecies and more recent fulfillments. For instance, we have this verse, very famous, Prithivitta Chayatta Nagaradagra Sarvatra Pachara Hoibe Moranam. This is Lord Chaitanya and Chaitanya Bhagavata. In every town and village of the world, the chanting of my name will be heard. And so here we are in Austin, Texas, and we have several centers here. We have centers in Dallas, we have centers in Houston, San Antonio, we have activities in El Paso. Gradually, it's happening. At the time this was spoken, some 500 years ago, where there was absolutely nothing in this part of the world. Then one of our greatest prophets is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Srila Prabhupada says, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted that the American European devotees would come to Mayapur, and the prophecy is now fulfilled. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said the devotees from America, from England, from Prussia. Prussia is a country that doesn't exist anymore. It was a Germanic country in Europe. They will all come to Mayapur and chant Jai Sachinandana. Yeah, he said Jai Sachinandana, but also Gorari. So, together with their Bengali brothers. And we see, you can go to Mayapur every year, February, March, before Gaur Purnima. And you see that. That was spoken at the time where India was a colony of the British. So it was very hard to prophesize that this culture will actually spread in the English country, English-speaking country. But here we are. We're speaking English. We're speaking about Lord Chaitanya. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself wrote that a personality will soon appear to preach the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and move unrestrictedly over the whole world with this message. And of course, we identify that person in Srila Prabhupada, who personally came to the Western shores and many other shores and started preaching. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur started sending some books, but physically never came to the West. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta sent a few preachers before Srila Prabhupada, but they didn't have much success. But Srila Prabhupada, he moved unrestrictedly and impactful all over the world. He came here to Texas. Did he come to Austin? Probably not. But to Dallas he came. Okay. So that was two. Professor Stark suggests religions should be careful in prophesizing too much. And I want to emphasize that we are lucky because in our traditions, the prophecies, we have many prophecies that comes true. We're lucky. Ready for number 3? Okay, this is something we can really meditate also on our personal behavior. Medium tension, or in other words, strictness. New religious movements are likely to succeed to the extent that they maintain a medium level of tension with their surrounding environment, are strict, but not too strict. Srila Prabhupada said the Krishna conscious movement comprehends all sides of life. It is not the stereotype churchianity, weekly going to the church and come back and do all. Do all means no restriction, eat whatever, do whatever. No, it is embracing all sides of our life. So, this is a very important fine-tuning for a religious spiritual movement. To be strict, to not compromise on principles of purity, At the same time, not to be too strict, because otherwise people cannot practice. Like if we say, oh, to be Krishna conscious, you have to live in caves. How many people can do that? Like in India, we have this movement of the Naga Babas. First of all, they take only men. Second, they go naked. Third, they have so many very, very serious, very grievous austerities. And obviously, they cannot grow. They cannot have a community. They cannot have a congregation. So, we need to find that right balance of strictness. This was a bus, the Hare Krishna movement, the positive alternative. This was going in Australia around in the 70s and the 80s. And of course, this is, we could say, an extreme aspect of being in tension with the environment, a completely different lifestyle. In fact, all these devotees, they didn't keep living in a bus. No? They did that in their youth years. And it was, of course, very very spectacular. You know, everywhere they went, you couldn't look anywhere else, right? And but obviously, at one point, you had to kind of balance the strictness. Of course, for instance, here I have a photo of a street Harinam in India, and you can see many devotees here. Probably you can see they have a little hair. They probably have a job, and but still there is quite some difference within the environment. How many people in India go around with Bengali drums and chant the holy names? Some of them dressed traditionally. So you can see the idea of tension. Tension doesn't mean conflict, but tension means being different enough that people notice that you're different. It doesn't have to be necessarily different in dress, but different in lifestyle. We eat in a different way. We're supposed to sleep in a different way. Meaning we not sleep in a different way, but get up earlier. We are supposed to get up earlier. And so on and so forth. To be practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, we need to be different. And many religious movements don't have that or have lost that. They eat the same thing as everyone else. They listen to the same music as everyone else. Basically, their entertainment is the same as everyone else. And so therefore, they don't have much potency. Because there is nothing distinguishing. They don't have much potency and not much attractiveness. So let's understand better this principle. A letter to Niranjan Swami, 72. Many times I have been told by other so-called holy men that I should not expect that foreigners will be able to avoid these sinful activities. But I have never compromised in any way, and as a result of our sticking strictly to our principles, our position is unique. I am not much fond of the idea of changing things to accommodate the public. Better to change the public to accommodate us. So, in other words, successful movements, they are distinct. They are distinct. And they are distinct, I want to emphasize, not necessarily how they dress like that, but they are distinct in their belief system, they are distinct in their lifestyle, in their message, and do not shy away of being against some of the prevailing notions in the host culture. For instance, Srila Prabhupada say, the rascal Darwin theory, this foolish theory, wrong conception of life. So we have to challenge, protest, defeat. This will be our work. We have to stop this misleading, make program, how to do it. So socially, economically, we may be integrated in the society, but we do have a mission of challenge in that society. Otherwise, we just merge into the society and are evolved. So, from Professor Stark paper, costly demands strengthen a religious group in two ways. And of course, costly demands, we are not talking about economic demands, we're talking about costly demands in terms of private, personal standards, a way of living. Okay, don't eat meat, fish, eggs, don't gamble, no illicit sex, no intoxication, for instance. Chant 16 rounds if you want to become initiated. So how these costly demands, I mean, even within Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we have so many groups that they don't demand 16 rounds. If you chant 4, it's fine. Some groups, if you chant 1, it's fine. Sometimes we see some people, even if you don't chant, it's fine to become initiated. So how this higher demands strengthen a group? Let's see. First, they create a barrier to group entry. To take part at all, you must qualify by accepting the sacrifices demanded from everyone. It's like today, you were peacefully at home. Satyasara Prabhu demanded that you come here at 7 o'clock. You're peacefully home, but no. Thus, high costs tend to screen out free riders, those potential members whose commitment and participation will otherwise be low. Free riders are those who join a movement, but they don't contribute anything. And I'm not saying contributing only financially. In fact, often our donors, who are only donors, come somewhat in the category of free riders. Because they may give their money, but they don't actually sacrifice personally. They can still give their money, but they are not real practitioners. Some of them. Some of them. Secondly, high costs tend to increase participation among those who do join. An individual positive experience of a worship service increases to the degree that the church is full. The members participate enthusiastically. Everyone joins in the songs and prayers. And others express very positive evaluations of what is taking place. Thus, as each member pays the costs of membership, pays in italics, it's not money, each gains from higher level of production of collective goods. Sometimes we see in temples, there is a Sunday lecture, and some people stay outside, just chit-chatting, socializing. We have seen this even in ISKCON, right? So the whole atmosphere becomes weaker. Because there is a speaker, wherever it is giving a message, the weekly message to the community, and part of the community that just don't care. So somebody who steps in can see that. Oh, this is their weekly talk, their weekly sermon, and people are outside chit-chatting, maybe gossiping. When everybody is committed to the process, to the procedures and so on, then obviously there's more energy. If there is a kirtan, everybody is focused here, concentrated in dancing. The kirtan is another power. So everybody experiences more. Furthermore, for a religious group, as with any organization, commitment is energy. That is, when commitment levels are high, groups can undertake all manners of collective actions. When we came at 6:50, Prabhu was introducing us, some of you, and he was saying, this person do anything, this person does that, this Mataji does this, and everybody does it for free, right, as a volunteers. So when everybody gives, everybody receives. There are some groups, there are some churches, for instance, in which almost nobody does anything for free. If you have to play, you have to pay the person who plays. Huh? You have to pay of course the pastor. Like for instance, in Germany, there is a law. A Catholic priest does not have to celebrate the Mass if there are less than 6 people in the church. So he can come out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, no Mass today. Remove. So when there is energy, when there is willingness to sacrifice, then everybody gets. Because you cook, you serve, you clean. And although the demands are higher, but the experience is higher. Okay? So we see, of course, when there is a high energy, this is a kirtan in Malaysia, see the energy, the enthusiasm, the sweating. Obviously, there is a different experience than a very sedated kirtan like that. And of course, this is valid for every group. Here we have some enthusiastic Christian singers, and they put really energy. If you go in those churches, you see the whole audience is swaying. The whole audience is feeling something. Than some dry sermon or some dry, boring ritual. So it's a universal principle. Give an example from ISKCON here is we have Radhanath Maharaj and his yatras. You heard, right? They are legendary. Sometimes they bring 5,000, 10,000. How many people were in Puri, Shiradi? How many people were in Puri last November? More than 5,000, more than 10,000. But they have high demands. If you're not chanting 16 rounds, you cannot go to those yatras. You can see how it's counterintuitive. You may say, well, it's a beautiful thing, bring everybody. No, if you're not already committed, you cannot come to those yatras. You see the same principle in action? Because higher costs brings higher returns. So these are some pictures. This is in Vrindavan. And people are willing to pay those costs. And they have higher results. And this is a beautiful sutra from Professor Stark. Religions that don't ask anything don't get anything. Very simple. And people join those religions also don't experience much because the whole energy is pretty low. Okay, so a substantial tension with the environment, a different lifestyle, and substantial demands for being part of the community. Not for visiting, obviously, but for being part, for being initiated, and so on, second initiated. Lesson 4. So I have 2 more, and then we'll take questions. So if something comes to your mind, we'll discuss later. I'm told we can go up to 8:30, and at 8:30 we'll stop. Lesson 4, legitimate authority. Religious movements will succeed to the extent that they have legitimate leaders with adequate authority to be effective. So legitimate leaders, we'll explain what that means, with adequate authority, they have some authority. If you need 3,000 people to take any decision, it's very hard to do anything. Adequate authority requires clear doctrinal justification for an effective and legitimate leadership. In other words, who is a leader in a particular group? Is there some scriptural backing? Like for instance in ISKCON, on an individual level, the guru has a lot of authority over the disciple. Right? This is a tradition. And this you can find in all the Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So if somebody is a qualified guru and he has authority over the disciples, it's legitimate because it's very much in line with our tradition. Or for instance, institutionally speaking, we have a governing body commission, GBC, and we all know that Srila Prabhupada wanted GBC. So nobody can say, well, where does this GBC come from? Who invented it? Well, Srila Prabhupada invented it. And in fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted it. And in fact, Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami wanted it. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a similar thing. We won't call it GBC, we call it Panchayat. So throughout the Gaudiya Vaishnava history, we have a collegial direction of the movement. You may always agree or disagree with their decisions, but the fact that there is an ultimate managing authority is clear. So this is legitimate authority. An authority is regarded as more legitimate and gains in effectiveness to the degree the members perceive themselves as participants in the system of authority. In other words, I'm talking, of course, ISKCON. This applies to anything. Remember, this was not written for ISKCON. Although Professor Stark in this paper mentions ISKCON specifically, mentions Hare Krishna, because he studied everything. But obviously he's not talking about Hare Krishna. He's talking about every religious movement in the history of the world. So authority is considered more legitimate if people can take part in that authority. Like in ISKCON, we don't have a caste system. It's not as if you're not born Brahmana, you cannot become a Brahmana. Everyone from whatever background, Indian background, Western background, you may be Brahminical family or non-Brahminical family in India, but anybody can qualify to take sacred initiation to worship on the altar. And everybody can become, eventually, if they show seriousness, steadiness, they can become gurus also. It's not that there is somebody that, no, you cannot become a guru. So you could see that leadership is available. Those who want to take responsibility. So let's define authority, because it's important to understand. There are two major ideas in English when we say authority. First is the power to give orders, make decisions, enforce laws, or settle issues. The right to control, judge, or prohibit the actions of others. In other words, you are entitled or you are authorized to take decisions. Say you are in charge of this temple, you may decide to change the color of the wall paint. Obviously, not all of us can do, right? That's a big chaos. No, I like green. No, I like blue. I like pink. But there is somebody who has that authority. Maybe the person wants to share that authority, but there is somebody, one or more people, who can decide, let's change the color of the paint. And others can't. So that's one example. Oh, let's buy another piece of land. Let's buy another property. Right? That's authority in that sense. Another meaning of authority is an accepted source of expert information or advice, an expert on a subject whose views are taken as definitive. As if you say, okay, that devotee is an authority in Sanskrit. You know that he studied the grammar, he knows the books. He doesn't have the authority to tell you to change the paint, but is an authority in the sense of is an expert in this field. It's an authority in deity worship. He cannot tell you to install a deity or not, but he knows so much about deity worship that when he speaks or she speaks, you know that, oh yeah, it's kind of, you take as conclusive. Okay. And then this brings an interesting and very relevant conception. What to do when you have more places in the same place? Like in Mumbai, you have Juhu, you have Chowpatty, you have Mira Road, then you have Navi Mumbai, right? And so Who is your authority? I mean, there are different temple presidents or different councils. Well, then it's a personal choice where you want to go. Say you live in Mumbai. Anybody there from Mumbai? Okay. So you're living in Mumbai, you will decide where to go. And it's a choice. It's a private choice that they can't really force you. And you will make a different considerations. Maybe you're already friends in that temple. Maybe it's closer to you. To another one, you have to travel 2 hours. This is maybe 20 minutes. And then you'll consider different things. It's a free market economy based on supply and demand. This is an analogy. This is like a temple. And what kind of association is there? What kind of teachings are there? How are the lectures? What type of education is available? Maybe there are courses for Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, and you are interested in those. Maybe there is less. Then there are, say, children's activity. You have children, you will think, oh, where my children can be happy or can learn, and the more positive environment for them. It's a children-friendly environment. Then the mood, just the atmosphere, the spirit of the place, the priorities. Then the engagement. Do you have engagement there? Do you get service? Or maybe there's already some people where everything is covered. There's not much for you to do. Just sit at the lecture, take prasad and go home. Or for instance, the prasadam quality. Which one gives better prasad? Also the timings, right? Like that. And of course, here in Austin, I understand we have, 3 centers? 3 centers, so we can see the principle that the individual chose, in one sense, their own authority, right? I want to work with this community. I want to work with that community. You will make your own considerations, like that. So Srila Prabhupada says, so you must be Vaishnav. Otherwise, why they will offer you respect? Respect cannot be demanded. It must be commanded. So that means we have to keep ourselves so clean, nice Vaishnav, Goswami, that people will offer you respect. So this is an important, you can take it as a sutra. Respect cannot be demanded, it must be commanded. Some people try to demand respect, but then what happens is that they end up surrounded by yes men and yes women. And that keeps intelligent people out, generally. They will have submissive people, they will have obedient people, but generally those people who are just obedient or just submissive, generally they're not very high quality. So Srila Prabhupada speaks about how he attracted this youth in America. So they dedicated their life, although they were very, very young, and at that time, there was a saying at the time, don't trust anyone above 30. And Srila Prabhupada was much above 30. But they surrendered to him. Why? Because, of course, they saw that he commanded respect. He didn't demand respect. He was doing things like after the first initiation in New York, he washed all the pots. He had already cooked the whole feast. Everybody took initiation, festival, celebrations, everything, feasting, and then everybody went home. Srila Prabhupada washed the pots. This is an interview with Kathy Kerr, reporter from the Star, Toronto, 76. Kathy Kerr, these basic truths, do you think that this is helping people realize themselves? Prabhupada, yes, that you can ask my students. We have not bribed them. I'm Indian, poor Indian. So why they are sticking to me? Ask them. They will describe. So commanding respect, showing certain quality that people are willing and happily following you. just because how you enrich your life and how you exemplify the message you present. Okay, last for today. This is pretty obvious, but it's certainly among the most powerful. Lesson 5, a religious labor force. It's very simple to understand. Religious movements will grow to the extent that they can generate a highly motivated, volunteer, religious labor force, including many willing to proselytize. Proselytize means preach, do outreach, propagate, expand. Is a lady distributing books in Hong Kong. So this is obvious because obviously more people from a group are out there bringing that message, those books, those pamphlets, those invitations, going inside the houses, going inside the school, going inside the hospitals. Obviously the group will grow more than a group where nobody goes anywhere and present the group. In fact, Stark writes, if you want to know the group which are growing, just keep track of the groups that are coming and knocking on your door. Those groups will grow. Since you are in America, any group ever knocked on your door? Some Christian, what Christians? Not every Christian. Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses. See? And they grow. And again, this is independent from the message, really. Any message you have, if you stress it, if you press it, if you push it, somebody will take it. Huh? Srila Prabhupada said, they have no demands. These boys, they are working so hard, they never ask a single paisa for me. It's not possible for me to pay these foreigners a salaried man. That is not possible. They don't ask a single paisa. They may ask a little paisam. It's an Indian sweet. But not money, right? So obviously a group that can generate that enthusiasm, it will grow. For instance, we have the Jehovah's Witness, right? You mentioned. The Jehovah's Witness, they have this is from Wikipedia, the article on one of those magazines, The Watchtower. The Watchtower public edition is the most widely circulated magazine in the world, with an average print run of nearly 53 million copies per month. So when you distribute 53 million copies every month, somebody will get convinced, right? You won't make 53 million followers, but you will make few. You will be convinced. Okay? Then the other magazine, Awake, is considered to be the second most widely distributed magazine in the world after the Watchtower, with a total worldwide printing of 51,788,000 copies per month. I have a friend in Moscow, Russia. He's a devotee, he's one actually of the leaders in Russia. And to learn about the Jehovah's Witness, he had them come to his home. For 6 months, he studied them. What kind of materials they were bringing, how they will present. And for 6 months, every week, they will come. And he would tell me like how they're punctual, how they come in two, one more senior, one more junior, so they're training also somebody else. How do you have different questions? They bring a particular publication on that questions. How they have a variety. They don't only have these magazines, they also have different books. So then after 6 months, they realized it was a Hare Krishna, so they stopped coming. But otherwise, I went to the Jehovah's Witness headquarters in England, which is just half an hour from our Bhaktivedanta Manor. And the tour guide was telling me how everything works. If we had more time, I could tell you more. But he was saying, for instance, that he was cultivating one Chinese lady for 13 years, and she had not yet surrendered. 13 years of going every week and presenting the Bible, studying with her. She has still not accepted. But he said, until she's open to hear, we will go. If she is open to hear and she's not becoming inimical or neglectful, we are going to go. If it takes 13 years, if it takes 30 years, we are going. And they have the whole statistics they have in their website. Some website, not the public website, but they have all the statistics, how long it takes in different countries to convert someone and make a Jehovah's Witness. Because they keep track how many hours it takes. So the toughest place is Japan. Japan people are a little closed, no? Other places, maybe it's more open, like Latinos, maybe. Anyway. And so you see this Jehovah's Witness going very, very, very educatedly, very cordially presenting. And we have in Ireland, we have a devotee. He was a Jehovah's Witness before. So he was doing the rounds. They divided the city in particular blocks. So this is your block. You keep going, tak, 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 tak. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. That's your Guru Datta Desh. Because they use other terms, but that's where you. So there is this devotee. His name, I believe, is David. So he was doing a certain block as a Jehovah's Witness, and so people knew him. So, oh, David, so you are preaching Jehovah's Witness? No, I'm with the Hare Krishna now. He was doing the same thing, but for Lord Chaitanya. And in fact, you see the article in Wikipedia as of August 2014. This course was developed a little bit before, so these are 10 years old data, but you can get an idea. Jehovah's Witnesses report an average of 8.2 million members actively involved in preaching. 1.94 billion hours spent in preaching and Bible study activity. In the same year, they conducted Bible studies with over 9.2 million individuals. I have a good sister from Ecuador. She grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and they were having also Bible study for children. And she told me she was very happy doing that. No, this is the Word of God. No, they're very No, I think it's my battery that is finished. What? What's that? Oh, it's restarting, so it's not the battery. Yes? How would improve? Okay. Yeah, see, that's thank you. This inaugurates the question and answer session. I had just a very few slides left, so really not a problem in terms of the contents. Yeah, one should understand how what's the benefit? Why should I go and knock on doors? Well, first of all, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, those who share the secret with others, they become very, very, very dear to him. So it's a very, very clear path to the heart of Krishna, heart of God. Second, Srila Prabhupada explained, it's a very scientific way to advance from a Kanishta Adhikari, third class of neophyte, to Madhyam Adhikari, stable devotees. It's called faith profession. In other words, it's not just your private faith, but you tell others. And this process of telling others increases your own conviction. Not only that, but inspires you to learn more because people will ask questions. See, if you just stay at home, you don't encounter anybody, your faith will not be challenged. Whatever level of faith you have, but it's not challenged. When you go out, people will ask questions. Some questions will be very sharp. Some questions will not be very friendly. And some questions will be technical, and you may not know the answer. So by being out there doesn't mean necessarily out there physically, could be online, could be in many different environments. But to being out there and say, I'm a Hare Krishna, this is a message I would like you to consider, this is what I'm sharing, it forces you to become a better devotee, better disciple, a better knower of the scriptures. And plus there's a lot of fun, spiritual fun. First of all, you can see that you are out there. See, you may feel a little bit, hypothetical you may feel a little bit a sense of inferiority complex. You're Indian, you're a minority, a religious minority. You are in a foreign country, especially in Texas, right? And you may feel, these people don't accept us, they don't like us or something. But when you are out there, you see that actually many people are very receptive, very welcoming, very interested in what you have. Not that they want to become Indians, but they have respect for your lifestyle and they have respect for your message. Last time we were here in America, 2019, I gave a presentation at the Caltech, California University is one of the top technological universities. And I was surprised how receptive they were. Most of the people were all Westerners or Asians. There were 3-4 Indians who organized the program, but everybody was Caucasians, we could say, or from the West. Okay? And I was personally surprised. I just spoke straight Bhagavad Gita, how in Bhagavad Gita there are two energy, the conscious energy, non-conscious energy, and so on. And they were very respectful. There was first of all, it was full. So they found the time, the interest to come to understand consciousness according to the Gita. And it was just straightforward. This is Bhagavad Gita, as what Krishna says. And they were very respectful. Nobody complained, nobody challenged. They were very attentive. Then practically everybody chanted. We chanted the mantra then. So there was a lot of receptivity. And this you'll only realize when you go out there. So there are several benefits to answer your question. So it seemed it was the batteries, but I will finish those few slides on Wednesday. But basically that was the message. And the number 5 is clear. Number 5 is clear. If you have a quote-unquote labor force, who especially volunteers, you don't have to pay them, they are willing to work for your community, and especially willing to proselytize, means to do outreach and propagate, certainly that group will grow. And the groups that don't have that, they will not grow, will shrink. Some religions nowadays, they shrink terribly because people losing enthusiasm, they don't participate, certainly they don't go out to proselytize. So let's see, let's close all your notes, let's close all your books and notebooks and other gadgets. Who remembers all 5? In your words, who remembers all 5? You can start from anyone. Legitimate is an adjective. You need a substantive. You need a noun. Legitimate what? Legitimate authority. Okay, 2 people got 1. So legitimate authority. So prophecy fails means if the prophecy fails, it's good? No, it's not good. Okay, so they shouldn't have too many prophecies. Okay, many prophecies that fail, especially. So you said labor force, people willing to contribute their energy, their time.
Medium level.
Medium what? Medium, large, what are we talking? Cholies, what? Medium tension. Yeah. Yes? Yes, yes. Yeah, there's a cultural continuity, okay? People can already relate. Because when we learn a culture, there is some investment, right? Time. When you join ISKCON, you already knew so many stories from Mahabharata, right? Already knew so many stories about Krishna. You already knew the concept of guru, right? At least as an idea. So you already had so much, we could say, patrimony, social and cultural patrimony. So for you to add more, okay, add Lord Chaitanya, it made sense. Yeah, no, it's Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. You just add one God. We have so many gods. You add one God. I'm joking. Okay, so you add one aspect that maybe wasn't there in your childhood, but no, it's compatible. No. Okay, thank you. So we got the 5. Now we have up to 15 minutes for questions or comments. Anybody wants to ask anything? Do we have someone online also?
Online people are there.
They can also ask questions or no? They can. So if you're online, thank you for being here with us. You can send a message. I think you know better than me how to do that. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, wonderful class. Thank you for coming to Austin. So I think I missed the beginning part when you said, so there is a study done and you are doing the comparison with ISKCON. Or the study already had comparison with ISKCON, like all the examples you gave.
Both. There is a professor, the late Professor Rodney Stark. He was a giant in the field of sociology of religion. Sociology study human society and dynamics, but some people, which is much less, study religion. So he wrote many books and he developed this theory based on 10 propositions on why religious movements succeed or fail. And it's all based on his studies with others. And as I said, I only presented the tip of the iceberg. I have many more slides, I have much more data, quotes, and so on. But time is limited, so this you can take it as an appetizer. But I believe there was already some substantial idea, right? So he presented this 10 proposition, and in the paper, he also mentioned Hare Krishna. He mentioned a particular way. He says, like for instance, he says, well, if you're a jail witness and you go in somebody's house and they already have the Bible, you're okay with that, no? In the sense that, yeah, you can use your Bible. We accept the Bible, no problem. So there is a connection, there already a shared reference, a shared ground, a shared matrix. But he says colloquially, but no, if you're Hare Krishna, you see the Bible, you have to say, no, you have to add the Gita, which is a much bigger jump. So if you go to, say, a Hindu house, and you say, this is the Gita as it is, maybe they already have some Gita somewhere, but it's a Gita, there's a Gita as it is. It's obviously less than a jump. Then if they have the Quran to say, okay, this is the Gita, right? Like that.
Thank you, Prabhu. I have one more question. So the culture part, of course, we understand. But then how about the hippies? Because they don't come from the culture. So was it because Prabhupada was a pure devotee, they changed, or because there was no culture?
Yes, but what they had, the Srila Prabhupada expressed, one good thing they had was the culture of renunciation. They already had in their own way, but they already in their own way, they already had lost faith in the so-called American dream. The middle class type of pattern in the future that, okay, I'll get married, I'll get a good job, I'll get a good car, I'll get a good house, I'll get good kids. They already had renounced that. And in fact, they were renounced in the sense of even they were living in the streets sometimes, then really nothing. So some devotees considered that it was a very, very special arrangement of the Lord to arrange the atmosphere, the cultural. It was like an opening, a window that never happened before and never happened after. The people were just open, and they're actually looking. The hippies were looking into Eastern spirituality and philosophy. They were studying the Taoism. They were studying Zen Buddhism. They were studying the Tibetan death, the Book of the Dead. They were looking at India. They were looking at the East for wisdom. So there was a lot of connection. Although they may not have grown up as Hindus, plus we don't know. They might have been Hindus in the previous life, and Krishna planted them there. So for them was natural. So there are, you could say, levels that a sociologist can perceive, and there are levels that, even a sociologist cannot perceive how those people are there at that time in history. Like you see here in America, so many devotees just accepted like that. Where that comes from? Some is maybe what we could observe, measure. Yes, they were already detached. Yes, they were already looking at the Eastern spirituality. But some can be more easily explained by reincarnation. They had already done something in the previous life. In Chaitanya Bhagavata, for instance, there is a discussion of how the Lord placed different devotees in before Lord Chaitanya or simultaneously with Lord Chaitanya, places in different, taking birth in different places, which generally they are not places famous for devotion. In Bengal itself, there are no more tribal areas and things, but some pure devotee came and they were born there to assist the mission there. So apparently the same thing happened in the West. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Prabhu. That was wonderful answer.
We have 1, 2, 3. Let's see. We need to have short answers because time is running up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just a slight question, I guess, both from your point about authority and about some of the books you've written before. You mentioned that we can kind of, that there needs to be some sort of authority. And you mentioned something about a periphery of different levels of authority that we can choose. And when you mentioned about how we should have prophecy, but not too much prophecy, not too specific of a prophecy, I'm remembering times when I guess we've also connected. We've chosen familiarity, or I don't know how to put it. We, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we have full authority with, we consider ISKCON Srila Prabhupada to be our full authority. But we still have some cultural association with other Gaudiya Vaishnav sources of authority, or with other Vaishnav sources of authority. We can still accept them in some way. Or just general Hindu senses of authority, where in the interest of preaching or the interest of something, okay, this might be all right. To what extent does that help or hurt us? For example, if they make prophecies and we're fully in on them and then they turn out to not be true.
Oh, if other groups make prophecy and we buy into it.
To what extent does that buy-in or association with other groups that are not purely, I guess, ISKCON directly?
See, I'm sure you realize you're bringing so many things to the table. See, prophecy in this list, I believe, is perhaps the least important, okay? Because it's not an ongoing thing, okay? So your question obviously is very broad. Depends on what kind of prophecy, how crucial or drastic is the prophecy. Is a simple prophecy that people will become more vegetarian in 5 years, or is something that the world will collapse, the oceans will go up 30 meters and wipe out Texas? It depends on the caliber of the prophecy, and also how much you bought into it. You became an active promoter. You went around with this big signs, the end is near. You see, so there are a number of elements, and we can discuss separately. As far as connection with other Gaudiya groups, I would say that the average ISKCON devotee doesn't really need any. In other words, we have the Shastra, we have our tradition. Of course, some scholars may consult some other scholar, no, technically, just like university professor may consult this book or that book, but it's really not for everybody. Not because it's prohibited or anything. It's like, for instance, a devotee comes and joins, or is here since 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. There's already a lot of text to study and assimilate. Huh? See, I don't want to be too absolutistic that says, some say, no, don't touch it, don't speak with it. No, there are some dangers because obviously when you market a product and people are selling or saying they're selling the product much cheaper, you have a problem, right? If you say, take initiation here, because Srila Prabhupada, the founder of Acharya, established 16 rounds, and then somebody come on town and say, no, I give you for 1 round, it's a special sale. Definitely that can create some disturbance in your community. Right? But thank you. This is very stimulating. It's just I'm a little afraid that we don't have the time right now in these 5 minutes to explore much more.
Thank you.
I look forward to discuss more if you like. Yes, so
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I like the point. I want to add a comment. Like,
you only like 1 point.
no, I have,
I explained
I want-
so many points.
yeah, for 1 point I like.
Only one.
One
Oh, okay. 1 point you like particularly.
particular.
Ah, I felt so bad. Yes.
Yeah. So we need to connect through our philosophy. Like we need to go and preach. Even though they are not convinced, but keep going and preaching. The Joe witness example you have given, they are trying for 13 years like that you said. Still she is not convinced. One lady.
What is your question?
No, it's not question.
Oh, it's
So-
a comment. Okay.
Well, yeah, I'm just, I like that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that also, we also believe in ISKCON that even though they are not convinced, we want to give the Krishna some knowledge, so they build Sukriti, right? It establishes the connection with Krishna. So there is no loss or anything. At least that is what we are also sticking to that. So that I want to connect. Like even though they are not convinced completely, so it is no waste. At least we are like connecting them to Krishna, and later they might be taking it.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So there's a last question. I hope there will also be an answer, but
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So when Dr. Stark wrote that article during that time, so ISKCON was not, like our topic of our discussion is whether our religious group is success or failure. At that time, the ISKCON started a religious group in America. And at that time, Dr. Stark wrote that article. It was not that success. But now, after 50 years or 45 years or whatever time, it is a grand success. When
is it a question or a comment?
It's comment, but the following is the question. So the question is how to make ISKCON more successful. I know it is successful to one caliber, but when we compare with others, religious groups or anything, it's still in a dormant stage. So how can we make more successful?
And you want that in 2 minutes. Okay, let me do a clarification. My understanding is this. When Stark wrote that paper, in one sense, ISKCON was more successful than today. It was a different type of success, but many more people joined full time. ISKCON was much more in the news. Many even Hollywood movies somewhat inserted Hare Krishna because it was very much part of the culture of the 70s and the 80s, much more than that we are now. So now ISKCON changed to a more congregational movement. We are attracting much more the Indian diaspora, which we're not doing in the 70s. So it's a different type of success. But I would say in terms of sociologically, culturally, we had much more impact in the 70s and not now. So I suggest we analyze comparatively the different type of successes, we could say. Today, maybe we are more stable families, and so there are some lessons we have learned. The demographics we have focused on have some better characteristics, say, than the hippies, but in one sense, at that time, there was more success. As far as how to become successful, that's what we are discussing this, because why movements become success or become failures. That's what we are discussing. And that's not just interest in an academic presentation. I'm presenting this, for instance, also at the GBC College for Leadership Development. And we are talking about this because these are, we could say, rules, time-tested norms, guidelines, principles of how a religious movement becomes successful or fails. So thank you very much for your attention. It's 8:30, so we close here. And if you're not totally bored, you may want to come back on Wednesday for the part 2. And tomorrow we have my wife.
Correct. I'm going to make an announcement.
Oh, please.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a brilliant presentation. We're looking forward to Wednesday. And Hare Krishna devotees, thank you all for coming on the weekday. And tomorrow is a very special. Sri Radha Govinda Mataji is going to talk about the secrets of family life. Very relevant, very much needed for all of us. So please, all of you, please come, bring your friends, your families, so that we can fill this room. And Mataji will be stunned and will bow her. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Let us just show our gratitude to Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Someone mentioned the books. I have a book with me. Those who are interested in sociology, of course, for us, sociology mainly Varnashram. So I have this book, How to Mess Up Varnashram. If anybody's interested,